Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. AFC and NFC championship props to bet. Let's get this money. First prop, we got Brian Robinson. Over 36.5 rushing yards. I absolutely love this one. I think it's my favorite one of the week. And we were going against him ever since week 17. He did slow down this year. But last week gave me hope that the Commanders' power run game is going to return. We saw a good push in the interior. And we also know that Jaden Daniels also adds another body there because you have to worry about a read option. I do think Jaden Daniels rushing is a little bit high. And I also think the Eagles are banged up in the front seven. Dean's not going to play. I think that could help. And I mentioned game flow when I did the videos this week when we look at the Commanders-Eagles matchup. This Eagles front seven is used to playing with a lead. They're used to being up 13-3 when you can pin your ears back and rush the passer, and we've seen teams abandon the run. I don't think the Commanders will abandon the run even if they get down in this game. Give me Brian Robinson over 36.5 rushing yards. And also another thing about game flow for this game, why I like this prop, even if the Eagles get up, I don't think this is the explosive Eagles that we saw in previous iterations. I'm going over the 36.5 rushing yards. Nuts prop. This is one we've been getting, and it goes down every week. A.J. Brown, under 60.5 receiving yards. Or you can do the under 4.5 catches. I'll leave you to your own devices. Man, let's just do the cycle of what happened. The first time we did it when he was on the thumbnail, I think it was like 88.5 or 80.5. We went under. Last game, it was like 68.5. We went under. Now it's down to 60.5, and I feel like we have to do under again. I just feel like he's disengaged. Like, we can talk about Hurts. We can talk about Hurts' injuries. We can talk about the lack of rhythm that has been present in the Eagles' pass game the whole year. But I just think this is a Saquon Barkley game, and I'm not sure A.J. Brown's all that interested. Like, I absolutely love A.J. Brown, and maybe you should go under 4.5 catches because we know we could get 2 catches for 80 yards. That's how good this man is. I just feel like it's like more of a Goddard game, even though Goddard is banged up. I'm just not in love with A.J. Brown at this moment, and I'm not sure he's too interested, man. It's not even about the book. It's really not about the book. I'm going under the 60.5 receiving yards. Next prop, we got Josh Allen. This one is risky. I'm going over 9.5 rush attempts. Now, last time we hit this against Denver, we coupled it with the rushing yards and the rush attempts. It was 7.5 rush attempts. 9.5 is an awful lot, but I think Josh Allen's going to have to do some special things. And I think this Chiefs secondary is vulnerable. But let's be honest, like with guys like Amari Cooper and a bunch of other average receivers outside of Shakir, Josh Allen is going to need to run the ball, and he's going to need to run it often. Also, short yardage situations on the quarterback sneak. Last time the Chiefs played the Bills when we hit that money pick, I believe he had 13 or 12 rushes. I think that continues. I think it's Josh Allen playoff mode. I'm going over the 9.5 rush attempts. Like I said, fundamentally, this probably isn't great. It's awful high for a quarterback, but I think we got to do it. Nuts prop! We got Saquon Barkley. You think I'm going over? Under. 131 rush yards. 131.5. I mean, it's just too high, man. It's just too high. And I point to the Commanders' Thursday night performance against him, and I think there's a possibility the Commanders can hold him between 100 and 110 rushing yards. He's relying on the explosive plays, and that's a possibility. He's an absolute machine and juggernaut when it comes to running the football. But there has to be some resistance from the Commanders, and there has to be something that stops him. And you can put 8 men in the box and you let Hurts beat you. I don't think the game plan it needs to be complicated or sophisticated. It just comes down to if you think Saquon's going to get 2 explosive runs. Like, I think he's going to get 1 explosive run. But if you look at his other runs ever since the last 4 or 5 weeks, man, there's a lot of 2-yard carries. There's a lot of 1-yard carries. We didn't see that earlier in the year. And I think his rush attempts is at like 25. He's going to get the ball a lot. I just think he gets 1 explosive run. To beat this, to go over 131.5, he's going to need at least 2 explosive runs, and I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going under the 131.5. It's too damn high. Like, remember that guy who was running for mayor in New York? Nuts prop. We got Pat Mahomes over 249.5 passing yards. I think this is a Pat Mahomes game. And I do think this is going to be a very competitive football game. I do think the Chiefs will play better. I do think the Bills will win. But I think Pat Mahomes has to take this on his shoulders. This Chiefs team, their run game is just putrid. And we saw that run game developing the last 3 years, getting better, incrementally getting better. But I think this is a game where we see Pat Mahomes pump this 40 to 45 times. And I honestly think they need to, because say what you will about the Bills' wide receiving options and the other options. James Cook's fucking phenomenal. But you guys know what I'm getting at. Say what you will about the Bills' options, but the Bills' offense is an absolute train and an absolute house, and they're explosive. And this Chiefs' offense has to go to another gear, and we know they will to at least keep the game close. I'm going over the 249.5 pass yards. This has to be a Pat Mahomes game. Like, this offense has to go in a different direction. And knowing the Chiefs, I know they will. Nuts prop! We got Khalil Shakir over 55.5 receiving yards. I get it. Keon Coleman's developing. You got the 2 tight ends who are very comfortable and who are in symbiosis with Josh Allen. But I just trust Shakir in these situations. Also, the Chiefs' slot coverage, safety coverage, the nickel backs, they're really, really weak this year. And Jalen Watson came back last week, and it made no difference. This secondary is putrid, and it smells like sulfur outside of McDuffie. And I think Shakir's going to get favorable matchups in that intermediate, in that middle range. And he's a small guy, but like I say, every single week, you can trust him to take a blow over the middle. He's going to hang on to the ball. He's not going to get alligator arms. He's not going to get scared if he gets hit 2 or 3 times. He's going to keep going across that middle. And with him, with his speed, with his explosion, there's always a big play potential. You don't even need that much volume with him, even though he's a slot guy that you can get a lot of volume to. He really is like a poor man's Wes Welker. Give me Khalil Shakir over 55.5 receiving yards. Nuts prop! We got Kareem Hunt under 33.5 rushing yards. This is dangerous because, I mean, we know Pacheco's been the dude for a long time. He came back from the injury, and then it seemed like Kareem Hunt was the number 1 option. Both have been poor. Both lack explosion. And like I said, I think this is a Chiefs throwing game. And I trust Pacheco more in those situations, more in those sets. So I'm going under Kareem Hunt. I just think the Bills will be able to take him away. And also, I'm not sure the Chiefs really want to rely on the run game this game. This is more me just betting on game state because I get this is dangerous. I get it's extremely low for any Chiefs running back. And I do think they're focused more on Pacheco this week. I'm trying to get in Big Red's head. Knox prop. We got Kenneth Gainwell over 8.5 rush yards. I mean, Saquon's got to take a break, right? After dude runs for fucking 50 yards and gets the ball up the middle 6 straight plays, he's got to get a blow, right? That's where this comes from Kenneth Gainwell. And also Gainwell's a nice change of pace, because think about it. You come into the game, a lot of times he comes into the game. I know they have Goddard, but it's a shotgun, 4 wide receivers wide with Goddard in the slot. Goddard motions down, and you can't really play the run in that situation when you got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Goddard on the outside. Goddard comes down, hits a nice crack block, and the offensive line gets a good push against the soft box. We only need 2 of those for Kenneth Gainwell. When he comes into the game, you normally think they're passing, and the defensive line just says, okay, great, Saquon's out. They're going to throw it, right? I think Gainwell gets 3 or 4 carries, and that's really all we need. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet.